Welcome to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Reverend Tamara Casanova Suzuki, and it is good to be together this morning. And this morning we also welcome Sarah as our pianist again. Thank you so much for being with us, Sarah.
Welcome to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Drew Carter. I'm a member of the Worship Ministry and the Worship Associate this morning. Our congregation is one of respect and inclusion. We believe that our becoming happens better in community, and we welcome all those who hunger for a spiritual home of acceptance and love.
Good morning. I'm Priscilla Marcus, and along with Debbie Mackey, I am co-chair of the Membership Ministry. The mission of the Membership Ministry is to help grow our congregation. We have been told repeatedly that we are the most welcoming congregation that folks have ever attended, which is something to really celebrate. Thank you for being so warm and welcoming. We need your help with the most challenging aspect of growing our congregation, and that is in getting potential new members to visit us. Please take a minute right now and think, who do you know who might be a good fit for Live Oak? Is there anyone you have wanted to invite to join you for Sunday service, but you haven't acted on it for whatever reason? There's a great opportunity coming up to do just that, and hopefully you all know about it from the information which has been shared with the ACORN the last 3 weeks. Membership Ministry is sponsoring a Planned Parenthood fundraiser here at Live Oak on Saturday, October 28th. We are hosting a special one-woman show titled Freak Out, which is the deeply personal story of actress-writer Nancy Murphy reflecting on her feelings as her 60th birthday approaches. Nancy won an award for this piece at last year's Hollywood Fringe Festival. She is waiving all fees to create this event, and Live Oak is providing the space. A very large portion of the $20 ticket price is being donated to Planned Parenthood. We ask that you be very intentional about whom to invite to this event. Our goal is not only to fill the seats, limited to 25 or 125 due to the intimate nature of the performance, but to also bring in a lot of people who may really resonate with what we have to offer here at Live Oak, potential members, so to speak. So make plans to meet your friends for the complimentary wine and cheese hour before the show. This is an excellent opportunity to introduce Galetans and Santa Barbarans to our congregation while supporting our local nonprofit. And as we always say, every member of Live Oak is part of our membership ministry. Liz Zock is co-producing this event with the writer-performer Nancy Murphy, and Liz's goal is to sell all of the tickets well in advance. 66 out of the 125 tickets have been sold so far, and ticket sales have just barely started. So don't wait. Tickets are being sold online only. You can see Liz for a postcard with details after today's service, and there will be some on the membership table as well. There are a great many details in the ACORN and on this postcard. November's concert, organized by Tom Lee, will be with Nathan McCune, will be another opportunity to do the same. So thank you.
So with the start of the year, we have a couple more brief announcements. Our covenant groups are small groups of Live Oak members and friends who meet monthly to discuss and share life's insights and experiences. Sign-ups for covenant groups are open now, and they will be continuing until October 1st at least. So please contact Reverend Tamara if you have any questions or you would like to sign up. Also, if you've ever wondered what it might be like to write a sermon, Reverend Tamara is going to lead a sermon writing workshop for 2 Wednesday nights in October and 2 nights in November. So the contact to sign up for that is Clacy. So again, more information about covenant groups and the sermon writing workshop are in your online ACORN, so check it out.
Whenever a beloved member or friend of this congregation dies, an empty space is left, a seat in the sanctuary, a hole in our hearts. This morning I share with sadness that John Sonquist, a major part of our music program here at Live Oak in years past, died on Wednesday, September 20th. Our memorial candle burns for him this morning. He's survived by 3 children, Eric, Catherine, and Kristen, as well as his extended family, and we hold them all in our collective thoughts and prayers. Our call to worship this morning is written by the Reverend Andrew Pakala, and he writes, "We arrive together here, travelers on life's journey, seekers of meaning, of love, of healing, of justice, of truth. The journey is long, and joy and woe accompany us at every step. None is born that does not die. None feels pleasure that does not also feel pain. The tear has not yet dried on the cheek, but the lips curve sweetly in a smile. Numerous are our origins, our paths, our destinations, and yet, happily, we have joined together here today. Spirit of life, source of love, may our joining be a blessing. May it bring comfort to those in pain. May it bring hope to those who are in despair. May it bring peace to those who tremble in fear. May it bring wisdom and guidance for our journeys. And though this joining may be just for a moment in time, the moment is all we can ever be certain of. May we embrace this moment and every instant of our lives. Come, let us worship together this morning. And I invite you to rise in body and spirit. And I think of John every time, many times when we sing together, because that was one thing that he really was so strongly adamant about, both the physical and the mental and spiritual joy of us joining our voices together. So this one's for you, John. Let's rise in body and spirit and sing together, Guide My Feet, number 348.
Good morning, Live Oak. And I want to just say that indeed, this is a very welcoming community. Being relatively new here, you guys are lovely. And it's always great to stand up in front of you. Thanks. Today I'm going to talk about a walkabout. For thousands of years, spiritual seekers have ventured into the wilderness to find greater purpose, to find their goals, gain wisdom, have a spiritual encounter, and to connect with what is truly important in life. These seekers include spiritual leaders like Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, Moses, and along with Australian Aborigines, Native Americans, and countless others throughout history. I would say that many people in this room right now would at least be interested in a walkabout or a vision quest to connect more deeply with nature, heal emotional issues, overcome fears, along with a host of other personal issues that need our attention. The term walkabout often refers to the break from routine of a teen male Australian Aborigine as they head into the solitude of the outback on a personal spiritual quest and rite of passage. Native Americans had a similar practice, venturing into the wilderness on a vision quest in order to meet their totem animal or spirit guide and find direction in life. These practices are still performed today Outward Bound and many other organizations include a vision quest or something similar to that in their programs, finding it having enormous rewards for the participants. For some people, their experience about facing fears, for some people it's about facing fears and gaining confidence. For others, like Aborigines and Native Americans, it may be an intensely spiritual experience that motivates them to re-examine their lives and find a new course. Sometimes this type of quest is about letting go of something of great importance that is no longer serving the individual. Regardless, it is with contemplation and relevance that makes a person choose such a deeply personal sojourn that is about changing one's life on a core level. It is sometimes about survival as well, which can be symbolic in relation to one's own life or where they're at in that moment. But for many of us, life has just become a little too routine. Work, eat, TV, go to bed, followed by more of the same the next day. And technology is such an amazing tool for living in that routine that dealing with such concepts as time, money, and relationships are so critical for all of us. Today's world, for many of us first world citizens, is a safe and cozy place, and for all the gratitude in the world, it just sometimes does not make us better people, nor does it guarantee happiness. It means simply that we don't go to bed hungry or cold. A walkabout or vision quest is a great first step in breaking out of that routine and igniting the flame of curiosity in the spirit of openness. And maybe your life isn't routine, but it has been deeply shaken by a traumatic event or an unexpected change. Or maybe you're a teen and just going through an enormous life cycle that time and age bring about for all of us. Today in 2017, the walkabout, a vision quest, a walking meditation, or any act of moving with intention is as important as ever, if not more so. These are very appropriate time for examining our collective lives, redefining our goals, developing a deeper spiritual connection and community. And for me, it's very practical to take my walking into intentionality, as sitting still to meditate has always been very difficult, and combining moving and clearing my head a lot easier and more fulfilling. And if you have not done so already, try it. Take a deep breath, clear your busy mind, and take a walk. It does a soul good. Blessed be.
Dukkha, they say. The Buddhists say all is dukkha. It's hard to translate, they tell us. It means literally suffering, but the feeling of dukkha is closer to impermanence. The fact of impermanence is central to the Buddhist path to nirvana, enlightenment.
Dukkha, all is impermanence, nothing lasts. I thought of that yesterday watching leaves come down in a shower and the smell of the rotting ones going back into the earth. Leaf to humus and back to earth to nourish the roots of the mother tree. The crows crying as the leaves fall and their nests are exposed. Dukkha, all is impermanence.
And life goes on, and people who were with us last year at this time have died, because all souls pass on. All is dukkha, nothing lasts. The path to enlightenment is understanding, accepting impermanence to the point where we no longer struggle against it. This is the way of the Buddha. But here in the West, we search for all that is permanent, even as we live with the death of all things and all people. We search for a sure footing on the path strewn with fallen leaves. We notice the buds of next year's growth, tightly curled, waiting. We hold on to things we can count on: our congregation, our community, our memories of those who died before us, our love and hope, and the search for certainty in a world that is dukkha.
Let us find each other in a changing world. Let us experience love as something which exists, a possibility which is. Let us know that we are alive and being renewed miraculously each second, that the impermanence gives to life its freshness and surprise, that our memories of yesterday and our expectations of tomorrow make now a cherished, precious, eternal moment.
From Joseph Campbell, we have not even to risk the adventure alone, for the heroes of all time have gone before us. The labyrinth is thoroughly known. We have only to follow the thread of the hero path. And where we had thought to find an abomination, we shall find a god. Where we had thought to travel outward, we will come to the center of our own existence. What we had thought to be alone, we shall be with all the world. Years ago, I was watching something rather unusual. My then young, well, he was young at that point. Many of you have met my son, Greg. And at that time, I'm thinking he was maybe around 8 or 9 years old. He was a very active child. And the unusual part about this moment was that he was walking a full-sized labyrinth. Walking, which was a good thing, quietly walking a full-size labyrinth. And when he reached the middle, he sat down in the middle, oblivious to others around him. And he sat there for a long time. And then he stood up and retraced his steps all the way back, slowly winding his way to the exit. And I was absolutely intrigued and very gratified that this experience had captivated him so much. And when he emerged from the labyrinth, he paused for a moment, and then he took a deep breath, and he walked over to me for a big hug. "Guess what, Mom?" he said. "I talked to Grandpa when I was in the center." And tears sprang to my eyes when he said that, because we had lost Gary's father just a few months before that to a heart attack, so it was very sudden. And Greg was still grieving the loss of his grandfather. And I looked searchingly into Greg's face, and for the first time since his grandpa's death, Greg seemed to have reached a place of peace. And ever since that day, I have been a strong advocate for the use and practice of labyrinths as a spiritual tool and guide on our journeys. So out of curiosity, how many people here today have had the joy of experiencing a labyrinth in any kind of form? So I'm talking to people who know this already. That's wonderful. They have been with us for millennia, spread throughout the world, found in multiple countries and multiple cultures. Then the interesting thing about labyrinths that this same 7-ring pattern is found in cultures throughout the world that, as far as we know, would not have been able to have contact with one another. It seems to be this universal yearning of humankind to attend to our inner spirit and use the labyrinth as we ponder the journey of life. Now, if you've experienced a labyrinth, you know that it's a unicursal pattern. It's a well-defined path that winds its way all the way to the center and then back out again. and it can be walked, it can be drawn in a single movement. And it's not the same as a maze where you can get lost and take those wrong turns. A labyrinth has no wrong turns or dead ends. It's not designed to confuse or bewilder anyone. All you have to do is follow the path. You will reach the center. You will come out again. And experiencing a labyrinth is an invitation. For some, it's a metaphor for life's journey. We begin with possibilities open to us, not sure of what we might experience as we take that first step. On the path, we turn and we wind, and as we do so, various emotions may surface. We find on the larger labyrinths that the entrance might not be visible any longer. Sometimes we might find ourselves searching to escape or wanting to be anywhere but where we are. Sometimes we fumble for that next step, tiring ourselves in the process. Disheartened, dispirited, we might feel disoriented or lost. But just like in life, the question becomes, how do we move through those times of losing faith, being disoriented or disheartened? Perhaps we pause and we reassess. Perhaps we breathe and carry on, knowing that the way will open and the path will ultimately be clear. The beauty of the labyrinth, and perhaps all of life, is that we are never really lost. We may lose our way, but the way is there, stretching before us and inviting us onward. And as many of our life experiences have taught us, sometimes the only way is the way through. So a labyrinth might be experienced as a metaphor for the journey of life. Labyrinths may also be experienced as a form of healing, a form of walking meditation or body prayer, a crucible of change, and a place of spiritual renewal. Some people use labyrinths to still the mind, recover balance in life, encourage new insights, find inspiration and creativity, or even for stress reduction. There's no right or wrong when it comes to what you seek and what you find. No expectation of an end result when traversing a labyrinth. So here is my invitation to you. It is a dear hope of mine, one that our Director of Religious Exploration, Stephen, shares with me, that we here at Live Oak might want to have our own labyrinth. We are hoping to gather a group of interested people who will work with us to create a painted labyrinth on a large piece, maybe even sewn together, of either large sailcloth or canvas. This would be a portable labyrinth, which would provide us with the flexibility of using it anywhere on our property. We could put it down on the playground, we could clear here and have an indoor lighted walk on the labyrinth, or we could serve as a resource to our community and we could lend it out to others wishing to walk the labyrinth. So if you are interested in this, I invite you to please contact me, because after Michael and I created the labyrinth over there yesterday, I can tell you, I'm not doing this alone, people. I'm going to need a lot of help in this. So if you're interested, probably it's not going to happen in the next month or so. We'll take our time. And we do have congregations where I know that they've created such labyrinths. So I'll reach out, find out how they did it, learn what works and what doesn't. So I invite you to contact me after. You may have noticed, if you're super observant, that in today's order of service, it doesn't say sermon right now. It says homily. And the reason why I use homily is because it's a short sermon. And the reason why it's a short sermon today is that this isn't a service where you're going to sit and listen to me. This is an experiential service. So instead of sitting for the postlude and the service ending as usual, you're going to be invited into an extended time of silence where you're going to be able to experience 3 different forms of labyrinths, and I will give you a little bit more information when the time comes. But as you're preparing yourself for the experience of the labyrinth, here are a few guidelines and suggestions. There are 3 movements or emotional states that are generally associated when you use a labyrinth, and you're free to make of them whatever you like or not. All paths and experiences are correct. So first comes releasing. When you pause for a moment at the entrance, whether it be a finger labyrinth or walking labyrinth, pause for a moment and take a deep breath and enter into the experience. And as you walk or trace the inward motion, the movement there is release, cast off, forget. It's an opportunity to unload emotions or memories, distractions, and thoughts. At the center, the motion is receiving. Pause for a moment. This is a space to be open, expectant, and receive. Listen to an inner voice or the simplicity of stillness and silence. And then as you wind your way outward, the movement there is returning. You're on the outward journey, gaining direction, perhaps comfort, perhaps new energy. And when you're experiencing a labyrinth, whether walking or tracing, take a moment and center yourself. You can walk it by focusing on your breathing, or if you have a mantra and do any mantra work, you can use your mantra as you're walking. Or if you want to think about something in particular, you can use that as your mantra and ask the question and then be silent and see what happens. Allow yourself to find your own pace. Pauses are fine. Take your time. And just a little bit of etiquette. If you're walking the labyrinth and you meet someone on the path, you don't necessarily have to stop and have a conversation. You just move sideways and they pass you and you walk on. Remember, there's no right or wrong, just an invitation to participate in the ancient wisdom of the labyrinth. Reverend Leslie Takahashi writes, "Walk the maze within your heart. Guide your steps into questioning curves. This labyrinth is a puzzle, leading you deeper into your own truths. Listen in the twists and turns. Listen in the openness with all searching. Listen, a wisdom within you calls to a wisdom beyond you, and in that dialogue lies peace." May it be so. Blessed be. How many of you recognize the labyrinth pattern that was up there? That was our own beloved UCSB labyrinth. And don't ask me why I chose this slide for the sharing in stewardship slide, the one with the birds. Maybe birds of a feather flock together, I don't know. It just made me laugh. So we are grateful to be able to give our love to this community that we hold so dear. So I invite you now to share our morning offering. Benediction. Our faith, this congregation is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences and beneath all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. Let us pause in silent witness to that unity. And we now extinguish the memorial candle. The warmth will be gone, and the light will cease to shine. But what of the brightness that it is given to our lives? That light shines still, although it is no longer part of the candle. That light now becomes part of our cosmos, part of that unity that binds us together forever. And so it is with the influence of John Sonnquist, in whose memory this candle has burned today. In mystery, we are born. In mystery, we live. In mystery, we die. May the blessings of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. And may love's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. Amen, and blessed be. And now as we extinguish the light of our communal chalice, now is when our service truly begins. This is your invitation. Sarah will be playing for around 10 to 12 minutes, and while she is playing, this is your invitation. You can remain in the sanctuary and sit in silence listening to the music. You are welcome to experience one of the 2 hand labyrinths that are made out of wood. There are 2 on each, so you can come forward and experience those. Drew and I will be handing out finger labyrinths for anyone who would like a copy to remain seated, and we're going to come through. And then there's also the invitation to silently move to Fellowship Hall, where Michael and I have created a walking labyrinth for you. So that is our next 10 to 12 minutes. I urge you, implore you to move in silence. And if you finish the walking labyrinth, the invitation is to please come back and take your seat here. The service ends when Sarah finishes playing the piano.